All right, welcome back. This is bed number 10. Last year it was poppies and it had some other wild stuff growing in it, including trees. This was a bed I completely didn't take care of, so I need to work on it. The one thing that concerned me that made me look up what was in this bed, it looks like it's some type of wild celery is in the base of this. The tree is inconsequential. This one is. I have trees all around me. It's not that I hate trees. It's just that I do not want trees in my garden beds. I have plenty of shade gardens, and I don't need a tree in this one. The reason I stopped was I saw this tree, and it's got reddish leaves. So when I see trees with reddish leaves, I look them up. This one over here has them too. Because we have poison sumac. Now, it is in the same families of oils that create poison ivy. So for me, I'm not concerned. I will wash my hands and arms when I'm done. But you always want to kind of check weeds, even trees that you have, and you don't know what they are. So here's, like I said, it's got red on the top. As a kid, we used to play in sumac all the time, but it wasn't poison sumac. There is another kind. An edible sumac, believe it or not. So you just want to always double check your plants, find out what you have. This one is really in the corner. I don't know how well it's going to come out. This isn't exactly weed popping when I'm standing on a shovel. Might be one of those that just gets hacked instead of pulled. But you just want to pay attention to what you got. This is not, I looked it up several times, several different things. And you know, the AI gives you 20 different things. It said that it was some tree that grows in Asia, which is possible. We are a global world, and plants do go from here to there. But I've seen this plant before. I just wanted to double check, because if I'm gonna broadcast, just like one of the last videos I published in July, you have to be careful what you pull. You have to be aware of what's around you. You can't just think that it's all fun and games like it is. You got to be a little bit aware. Now, I'm really lucky. My area doesn't have too many poisonous plants. I have poison ivy and poison oak, of course. We do have some sumac, and I do believe we have poison sumac. I have snakes, most of them. I would say almost most of them, I don't know what the percentages are garter snakes. Very identifiable. If I was closer to the water, I would be concerned about the one poisonous snake that does live in our colder climate. The other two are mostly in different parts of New York State. Not to say that they can't migrate, and not to say that somebody can't, somebody's pet didn't get loose that was poisonous. You have to be aware of that. So my daughter knows that unless it's something she recognizes, she needs to stay away. She's constantly finding toads and frogs and then washing her hands afterwards. This bed is just, we haven't had a lot of rain, so the ground is dry, and it makes it harder to just pull weeds out. They're more stubborn. They hold on to that dry soil, and it wants to come up as a clump. But this bed was just destroyed. So I looked up this plant here. It came up as a wild parsley. Now I have a lot of parsley growing in my garden, and I have celery growing, which also mimics that. I'm very careful because I do not want it to cross with, say, a Queen Anne's lace or another one in that family, because there are a lot of Queen Anne's lace. We just had a hogweed, I gotta say that correctly, a hogweed detected at a local park, not too far from here. And, well, actually on the other side of the town, but several miles away. But they figured it was brought by birds. It's in a wetter area, but I have had angelica on my property, and angelica is, from what I understand, a cousin of hogweed. I actually had angelica in the back, and it got to about 6 feet, 7 feet tall, and I panicked because I thought it was hogweed. Now, hogweed in my state, you call on it, and they will come and actually dispose of the plant when they find it. They do not want it spreading. If the plant breaks or is stomped on, there are fluids inside of the plant, or oils, or I'm not quite sure what they are. You know, sometimes as a gardener, you just know things. You don't know the exact words. But if that gets on you, and then you are exposed to sunlight, it will burn. And when I say burn, I mean it will burn your skin. So it is a very important plant that if you find it, you report it. And it looks like a giant Queen's Anne lace. You can tell the difference between it and angelica only by, I sent it to somebody, but they could look at the stems. I sent a picture of the leaves. I sent a picture of the size of it. I sent a picture of the stems, and they came back and said, nope, it's angelica. Still have to be very careful with it. You do not want to mess with it. So what we did was, I took the top and I encased it in a plastic bag, because it was getting close to flowering. We tied that plastic bag super, super tight. I cut along the line very carefully. I had 2 layers of gloves on, and I really was very careful to make sure that nothing got on me. So then we took that bag and put that directly into the garbage, so that to make sure that the flowers didn't give seeds. Because one thing a plant will do if it's dying is it will put any little bit of energy it has into creating seeds. It's trying to save its future. It wants to make sure that it sticks around. So it will, in a dying state, a lot of times, I've seen it, I've even heard stories where somebody buys a dying plant, and they're like, I don't understand it. I bought this plant. It's clearly dying. It's not living, or not, thriving at all. But it put on a pea pod, and it's made up. It gave a pea, and it's like, yeah, because dying plants will protect. They want to keep going. They don't want to have one instance of them die. So they will put out a seed, and they will keep themselves going. So be very aware of that. With a hogweed, I wouldn't get near it. If it was a hogweed, I would have never even gotten close to it. But it was an angelica. I remembered reading up on it the whole day beforehand, figuring out how I was going to get rid of it. And then what we did is even though it's against my better judgment, we put down a whole ton of herbicides in the area. I did a whole big patch to try to make sure that plant did die. And then we checked on it. And then as it died, when it started to shrivel and die, we then bagged it up, because it was a little bit drier and easier to handle than the big plant. The leaves had shriveled back. So again, we doubled up and tripled up on the gloves, slowly took it down. I think I used an old pair of scissors, and we threw the scissors out when we were done, because I didn't know how much oil had gotten on them and how much it would have spread. So we were very careful with the angelica, and so far I have not seen it come back. So it must have been a bird dropped the seed. But I am very careful. So when I see Queen Anne's lace or even wild carrots, very careful, because even wild carrots, you identify something wrong, And a wild carrot can be more poisonous if it's ingested. So you really do. I always heard that the phrase, the queen has hairy legs, but you know what? I'm not going to chance it. If I'm planting a carrot, I better be a carrot I planted.
My book.
I didn't take your book, honey. Sister give you a book? Sister, did she make a smile on it? You gonna draw in it? Oh, nice. That's yours, yes. It can be yours. You can have the book. You want mommy's book too? Oh, okay, you can have mommy's book. That's fine. Is that what you wanted? This one. Are you gonna go driving now? Yeah. Okay, see you fast. You gonna go fast? Like you see? Okay. I want to keep working here, okay? We don't stairs what?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I finish doing this bed?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you drive? Thank you. We were interrupted. There's one thing I've learned about doing videos in the garden is I can't replant the weeds. So once I've pulled them, if you didn't see me pull them, you didn't see them happen. So, but just to go back, when I read that, notice I'm using a bigger shovel this time. I'm not using my little hand shovel. But a lot of times when, I see newbies post things on the boards like, what do you think this is? Do you think it's edible? Honestly, unless I've planted it or I've read a plant label and it matches exactly, I don't want to eat it. Well, maybe, if somebody else planted it too. But if it's been a planted plant, then no problem. But if it's something that came up wild, I don't know enough about edible foraging to know if something is edible or not. The only thing that I will edibly forage in my woods in the back is raspberries and blueberries. But I do have some berries that grow on my property that are not edible. So I know to steer clear of them. But the raspberries and the blackberries and the raspberries that grow are so sweet in the back. So those I will forage. But most of the time, unless you know what you're doing or been trained, gone to special classes, can identify that, the leaf branches off a certain way, is even on both sides, there's not even on both sides, if it has veining, if it has teeth around the edges. There's so much you need to know for wild foraging. I encourage people to learn it, but I'm going to say but. And the reason I'm going to say but is I would rather just grow it. I want to see the plant grow. If I can get a seed for it, I'll grow it. I know a few years back there was a mix-up with plant seeds, and gardeners were growing things that they didn't expect. I do expect that was a one-off incident. Hopefully won't be happening again. But this is my take on wild foraging. Please, please, please take your time. There's some really great wild foraging channels out there on YouTube that will step you through what to look for, what not to look for. Will tell you, make sure the leaves are, are you going to remember every one of those steps? You will if you've been trained. You will if you've done it over 100 times and you know the differences. But there are so many look-alike plants, just like there are so many look-alike species. And, I keep getting notifications. We found a new species of this or that. It's just a little bit different than this one. So this is definitely a new species. I mean, you don't know, and you don't know all of its properties. So mostly when I find things in the garden, unless I know exactly what it is, and I'm positive, like I said, anything Queen Anne's lace, I am going to verify it and double verify it. And one of my first videos I did was with my WEC, because when you do a plant search of it, it comes up Queen Anne's lace. It's not Queen Anne's lace, but I know I've planted it. I know it's come back and I've harvested it. And actually right now it's setting those little Kimoic seeds. So I can actually get in there and harvest those seeds. But I'm not going to eat the plant. I don't know enough about it. I've had people, I've said that this is such and such a plant, and they've tasted the leaves, and that just horrifies me because I know that this, like chai, the seeds are edible. The seeds are what you're after. Don't test leaves. I don't know if the leaves are edible or not. Like, you know, I grew stevia a few times, and I'm going to tell you that, one, I don't like the taste of it, but I do grow it every once in a while. My husband loves artificial sweeteners, so he likes the stevia. But don't taste it unless you know what you're tasting. Don't, you know, a potato is edible, but a potato leaf is not. You know, it is in the nightshade family, which is, if you don't know, is not a good thing to know. So just be aware. I don't know why I'm on a kick of warning people. It seems like I make this look like so much fun, and it is, for me it is. It's fun, it's relaxing, but in the background I'm always thinking, what else could it be? You know, I know that there are places in this country where you can't just stick your hand into overgrowth. You've got to cut it back a little to see what's living there. So just be aware that I know I make this look like fun and games and relaxing and enjoying, but I'm not disengaging my brain. I am fully aware that there are things, and you could be in a different area, a different country, whatever. So you need to know what's in your area, what weeds, what, you know, look at the wild foragers, figure out what that is. Put my plastic here. I find plastic in the garden all the time. See, I'm switching channels again, but I think it just blows in sometimes. Maybe it was in some of the primary batches I had because, you know, they can't go through everything and pick it all out. But just be aware. I'm slowly running out of beds to clean. I have some really, really overgrown beds, and I'll show them in a little bit. They are so overgrown that, and I am running out of things to plant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them rest. I am covering them with a tarp. It's strange when you see me with the little shovel, and then all of a sudden you see me with the big shovel. The big shovel actually in some ways is easier to handle. This is a very old shovel. A lot of my tools are old. I inherited them. They're past me downs. You know, somebody's cleaning out. It's not very valuable. So people just say, yeah. And those are the kind of tools that I like. This could well be a tool for my grandfather's garden. It could very well be something that my aunt used. I don't have pictures. I have no way to verify it. I should sharpen it. I should take care of it better. And I probably will. I should really do that. I'm now that I am back to full health, I am hoping that I can finally get to some of those gardening tasks I haven't done. So the last thing I do with a garden bed is you see me run my hand across. And I've said this many times. I am looking for roots that are still there, that are still intact, that are still planted, because they will easily send up. They'll very easily send up new weed tops. So if the more I can get of these roots, the better. This is the tree root that was in this corner. I do look for the greenery, although sometimes when it's just a little broken leaf, I know it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to kind of dry up and die on the surface. The only weeds, there's some weeds I don't trust will do that. But this bed is ready for planting. I do believe I finally have gotten most of my plants planted. I do have some more seeds to get in. I have to work on my beds for my beans still. The reason is because I used some very old seed and they didn't come up. And because I was planting seed, I didn't mulch the bed right away because I knew I had to wait for those seeds to come up. And unfortunately, the weeds have taken over. So I will be working on that bed still. I have some other little beds I have to do around the I've been doing around the blueberries as I'm sitting there eating the blueberries. But they still need to be majorly weeded. Some of the other things that I will probably give you an update on is the gooseberries. I need to do that, and the peach trees coming in. They're in the same bed. But for now, this is it. So just be aware that, you know, not all weeds are weeds. There are tree weeds, and they're just things to be careful of. It is fun and games to pull weeds. I love the sound of that pop. But just be aware wherever you live, you may be up against more than me. I mean, I've never had to worry about a cobra. But if maybe somebody's pet escaped, I would. So just be aware. Yay. All right. Take care. Be safe.